Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. Welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast. And today it's our guest, Greg. He's visionary entrepreneur and Wall Street Journal based selling author. But more than that, he is franchise expert. Most of the businesses in US, over 70-80% businesses are franchise based. And still you will find hardly anywhere you are getting training for franchising. Well, I just cannot understand if so many businesses are franchise based, why there is not much training available for how to start a franchise and how to choose a franchise. And there are various other questions people have. So if there is a training available, people won't be struggling because most entrepreneurs actually don't see second year in their business, and many of those who see second year don't see fifth year in their business. Many solopreneurs they quit their business before launching their first product. But if they have access to this kind of training, they won't go to all those troubles. Means they will have successful business because franchising is a proven model. And without me going into details, let me invite Greg Mohr. Stage is yours. Please take it away. And yeah, means audience is really looking forward to, because you seem to have a foolproof system, and we just want to know more about it because we just use franchising as a consumer, but never looked at franchising as a business owner. So I personally want to know more, and I'm pretty sure my audience, family, community, everyone is eager to know more about that. So without further delay, let's get started.
I appreciate you having me today, Sue. Very, very kind of you.
Yeah, so I just want to know your story. How did you get started? Because this is really more like a best kept secret, especially the training and all. How did you get started and how did you start sharing with other people? I want to know your
I
story.
appreciate that. So I got my start actually probably way back in high school when we got all our first jobs back then in high school. It was usually fast food places, and mine just happened to be Taco Bell. So I moved my way up in the Taco Bell world and found out I was working for a master franchisor named Kathy. She owned about 50 Taco Bells throughout the Sacramento, California area. And I started helping her build up her teams and build
Wow.
up her sales. That was my first foray into franchising, first time I've ever heard about it. So fast forward about 30 years later, after going through being a restaurant manager for 15 years and a microelectronic circuit engineer for 15 years, I actually got out of the corporate world and said, I like that franchising thing. I want to run my own business. I don't have the latest, greatest idea. So I started looking into franchising, and I just went out on the internet, got click happy, and started, clicking all over the place, trying to figure out which one would be best for me. And I found a great franchise consultant who knew they existed. I did not at the time, but that franchise consultant helped me get into franchising. So with his help, I found a great franchise to get into. Did that for a couple of years, but while I was going through that process with that franchise consultant, I thought, I really like what that franchise consultant does. So I sold off my franchise and went back to him and said, teach me what you do. I want to be a franchise consultant. That was probably about 12 years ago, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that's really amazing. That's a really great choice because many times some franchises means you may not like each and every product over there. For example, if you go to McDonald's and yeah, you may not like some kind of burger, or but it is very predictable. So especially when you are traveling, if there is a mom and pop store or mom and pop restaurant and then McDonald's, you gravitate towards McDonald's because whatever it is there is a no like and trust factor, and that is what means we decide in choosing because it is very 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 predictable. We just know what we are going to get and all. So it's really your wise decision. So means you decided to become a franchise consultant. So who to whom do you help? Who is your ideal customer?
Basically, I'm looking for ambitious entrepreneurs and investors who are looking for a great franchise fit or want to flip their business into one. So we also help businesses turn into franchises. But for most of my clients, there are people who are looking down the road 5 to 10 years, and they're seeing that they're not quite going to be where they want to be at that point in time. Or they're really like I was, getting tired of the corporate world, want to get out of it and want to run their own business. And you don't have to run it full time to begin with. If you want to build up for something, you can run a semi-absentee. But that would be the people that I work with most are ambitious entrepreneurs and investors who just want to maybe invest in, a few territories, hire a team to handle everything, and have something to do on the side.
So, what kind of franchises are you talking about? Is it only the brick and mortar, or it can be even digital, online? So, I just means how do you choose and which franchises do you suggest and you work with?
Great question, because when most people come to me, they are thinking of just like when you and I go down the road, the franchises we see are the brick and mortar ones, McDonald's, Taco Bell's, Meineke, Mako, Supercuts, Great Clips, that sort of thing. People don't realize how many different types of franchises there are. There's probably a franchise in every industry. So the ones that we see when we're driving around are the brick and mortar type franchises. Generally speaking, it's about $300,000 or more to get into something like that. And you can be semi-absentee or you can be full-time, just depends on the franchise. The ones that they don't see, the ones that we don't see on a regular basis, are the service industry franchises. And that's where your clients don't necessarily know you exist until they need you. So if we've never utilized any of those services, we wouldn't necessarily know what they are. Fire, smoke, water damage, restoration type franchises are one. Home services, great, huge industry for home services. Anywhere from outside, taking care of lawn care, remodeling kitchens, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, roofing. You've got senior care, taking care of mom and dad. We're all getting older. We all need a little help at some point in time. There's tutoring on that. And then in all sorts of different weird industries, there's all sorts of different franchises. And those, the service industry, they're only about $150,000, give or take, to invest in those. And again, you can do some of those semi-absentee, and some require full-time, just depends on the franchise.
You mentioned about remodeling, and I think that must be so comforting because what happened, let me tell you my experience. I was part of BNI, and then there was a contractor, and I thought, okay, he's in BNI, so he's a reputable. So we gave him contract to do our downstairs remodeling, and he did part of the work, and afterwards he just didn't show up. And I said, what happened? He said, yeah, I'm coming. And later on, there was some balance remaining, and he said, you pay my balance. I said, you haven't finished the work, how are we going to pay the balance? Then he started actually putting a lot of pressure on us and this and that. So I said, there is no way, we are not going to pay the full balance unless and until you finish the work. It was means we had to go back and forth for months, and finally he finished the work because initially what happened, whenever he asked money we gave him. So he thought, okay, now if I put more pressure on these people, they will pay me because they have been paying really well all the time. And then we realized, we do not want to deal with these kind of contractors. Basically, and so now we are remodeling our bathrooms, and we went for a franchise owner. We went to a company, and that company has many, many branches all over the US. And my friends, actually, my gym buddies, are saying, oh, you are paying so much. You could have gotten cheaper, oh, way cheaper than somewhere. And who is telling me? The lady who is remodeling her bathrooms, and she paid like 6 months back, and those people are actually gone to Mexico. She has no idea when they're coming back, and she is telling, you are paying a lot. And here these people, they are starting our work, And in contract, it is written that they will finish the work in 3 days. So my husband said, I will always pay for peace of mind. I will always pay for professionalism. And the contractor, with BNI, he was with BNI, his company and all. No, he's in jail. Means we didn't put him in jail, but somebody else complained. He is in jail. Such things won't happen if you deal with a franchise. And he went into jail, and afterwards couple of subcontractors, they came to us and they said, this bill, he never paid us our money. And I asked, why didn't you pay? So he said, oh, that lady never paid me. I said, we paid him to the dot, every cent we paid. So we cannot say that. He said, hey, you are not the first one who is telling me. I went to a couple more customers where we did the work. The contractor never paid us. And we asked him for the money. He said, oh, the client never paid me, so I cannot pay you. All these things, there are scary stories. Such things won't happen. And, means basically, it is really so important to find a reputed company and really go with it. So means really keep up the great work, because we burnt our fingers. And I really want to tell the audience, go with a reputed franchise. They have lots of branches. And my husband, actually, this time he did thorough research. He went online, he read reviews, and some reviews he didn't like. So the consultant who came to our place, so he asked why this review and why does it end, and he explained everything. So it is really means, you are getting your work done, you are getting peace of mind, and you are getting work done in time. What more you are asking for? Really means, I think it is the time to go for the cheapest one and go for the best one. So I really wanted to share that story with you, because these franchises, many people don't know the service industry franchise. Really, they don't know, and that is a really great touch for service.
That's a
Yeah,
great story and
thank you.
great point, because the franchise has got a national reputation to keep up on that one, and they want to continue growing. So only by making certain that each individual franchises are up to their standards and meeting or exceeding their standards can they hope to grow the whole system on there. And if something should happen to one franchise group, and some franchises are working with you and something happened, and somebody got sick in the family, they couldn't complete it, then they can just send in a franchisee, an adjoining franchisee, to come in and take over the slack. So you're never left out in the cold like you would be necessarily with a mom and pop shop. If they are up and left, there's no place to go to. But with a franchise system, you just go to the franchise and say, hey, so and so, what happened to them? They didn't show up. Well, we're going to send you another franchise that's going to finish that up. It rarely happens. Most franchisees are really good about doing that, and keeping up that reputation, because the franchisors are really good at finding the right franchisees who are going to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that. Now, for example, if um, someone asks us, we want to start a franchise, what is the process? How can they get started? Means, yeah, of course, means you tell us how they can contact you, but I just want to know the full process so that people will be
It's
prepared.
actually a fairly easy process to get started in franchising. What you really have to do is assess your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. Are you looking for some extra money? You're looking for some more time? You're just tired of the corporate world and want to get out of that? That part gets to be a little more challenging as you delve into your reasons why you're getting into a franchise, and what do you see that franchise doing for you in there. And then you have to look at what is your skill set, what able that's going to be useful for the franchise that you're getting into. So you need to find out from the franchisor, and when the franchisers are looking at, what kind of skills are they looking for. So if, for instance, if you're getting one, if you're looking at a Sandler sales training franchise, well, you probably better have a background in sales on that, or you're probably not going to do too good and want to avoid that one. So look and see what it is that franchise is looking for in successful franchisees on that. And as you're looking into the franchise, do your due diligence on that one, which means you get together with that franchise development person, find out what that franchise is all about. You don't have to be an expert necessarily in the industry that you're getting into, but by the time you're through investigating that franchise, you should know quite a bit about that industry. Why is it doing well? How has it done well in the past? What's it doing in the future? Where's the growth potential? And then talk to other franchisees. That's one biggest mistake I've heard from some people who looked into franchises, is that they didn't talk to enough franchisees. So, 10, 15, 20, whatever it takes, get a good feel for that business and find out from the franchises firsthand how they feel about the franchise system in general on that. They're going to be your friends. You're making friends along the way. They're going to help you grow your business. The franchise is going to help you grow your business as well. But then these are people that you can call upon in the future if you have any questions. Generally speaking, franchises give out a protected territory. So you are not competing with other franchisees on that. So that's why they're all friends and everybody helps them grow.
I really liked your point. You said you don't need to be expert in that particular field, because whatever franchise you are choosing, it should match to your goals, what you want to achieve, and you don't need to be expert. Yeah, for example, you may not have ever made burger at home, but if any, yeah, means you say Burger King or McDonald and all, if they are giving you what results you want to achieve in your life, then sure, go ahead for it, means. And that is the actually the great point, yeah, means basically, if you may not have ever flipped a burger, but still you can be a owner. That is so comforting, because yeah, because every time we start a business, we always think of starting a business in our expertise, and I think that is a very limited thinking, because I work with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, and they always think in that way. But I think you have to expand your vision, and you have to think what you want to achieve in your life, and then you match your goals depending on that, and you choose. That's a really comforting point. And actually, I heard about there are some private franchising and public franchising. Can you enlighten me on
I'll say
that?
it again. Sorry.
Private franchise and public franchise.
Most franchises are privately owned on that. There's some that
Okay.
are public owned and have stock in the stock market, or stock symbol in the stock market, but most of them are privately owned on that one. There's some that are owned by investing groups, corporate groups, that sort of thing. But most of them are privately owned. And then as far as the franchise goes, one of the good things about being privately owned is, especially if you get into a newer franchise that's emerging, you get to work with the franchisors who started the business, the man, woman, or couple, whoever who started the franchise itself. So you work directly with them and get trained by them and find out from them and meet them and find out what their vision was, what made them decide to start that franchise. Where do they see that franchise doing? How are they going to help you get to where you want to be? And how are they going to grow that system into the future?
And during COVID time, it really happened. There was a lot of shortage with labor. I mean, you go to restaurant and they say, "Oh, our staff didn't come in, and we cannot serve you on time," and this and that. Yeah, even post pandemic, you still see it. So, if you buy that, if you start that kind of franchise, so, is it possible to have real freedom? Because if you own any kind of franchise restaurant, and a couple of people don't show up, you may have to go and work there, right? So then, what kind of freedom are you looking for here?
Well, if you're looking at a restaurant in particular, I would have to say from my restaurant managing experience, what I did for 15 years on that one is that, and this probably goes for any type of business or franchise system where you have employees, you want to make certain that you are training your people to take over for you in case there's an issue on that one. So rather than having to do things yourself and rather having to do things myself, I was a manager, but I had assistant managers on there. On top of that, I trained my employees to be relief managers as well. So I had a whole system of people that were or could take over any job in that restaurant at any point in time if somebody else left on that.
Oh, that's a
Mhm.
great
It
idea,
was
huh?
it was good. That way you got the freedom to move around. You may get a phone call, so and so, I'm sick, I can't show up from your assistant manager, then you just dial the phone and call up your relief manager and say, hey, you want to go in and make some extra money? It worked out great, especially if you have 2 or 3 of those relief managers and those people in place. When you're looking at employees, you're in the retail environment like that, you're looking at 2 different types of retails, simple retail and more sophisticated retail. And it depends on what type of employees you want to work with. For a simple retail, it's going to be hourly employees, and it's going to be pretty easy for you to step in and fill in, for what they're doing on that. If you're just selling things from a retail standpoint, it doesn't take a whole lot of expertise to figure out how to do it. If you want to get into something that's what we call a more sophisticated retail, then you're looking for employees that have a certain skill set. Say, for instance, automotive industry or the medical industry, something like that, electrical, plumbing, AC. Then you're having a more skilled labor force, and that skilled labor force has a tendency not to move around as much as the simple labor force does. So the people generally are probably a little bit harder to find to begin with, but once you find them, they have a tendency to stay around longer. Now, those employees, of course, if somebody doesn't show up, I mean, you're not going to go in there and start working on the electrical system. You don't know anything about the electrical system. So one of the things you do as you're going through the franchise investigation process is you ask, how often do you have these issues? Generally speaking, you'll find that you don't have them all that often at all. And again, having a good labor force, treating your people right, finding out how they want to be treated, how they want to be taken care of, it helps to keep them around so that you will have, and having a few extras so that you have those relief people are really essential to building any business itself, and franchising as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I wanted to ask you, there must be various levels to start a franchise, because not every franchise is looking for the same amount of investment. So will you please elaborate more on that?
That's correct. So different levels of franchising on that you can get into. One is starting off at the probably the lowest investment would be a service type franchise where you do from home, where you go out and visit with your clients rather than your clients coming to see you. So you don't need an office, less of investments. So you're probably looking at around $100,000 there, give or take, for something
Oh,
like that.
wow. That is amazing. You can start business
Mhm.
with 100K. That is really
When
great.
I
Yeah.
first started my
Sorry to
Correct.
interrupt you.
So when I first started my school in Mitchell Telecommunications Consulting, it was the franchise fee was $50,000, which is pretty standard for any franchise. One-time franchise fee for 50,000. Then the only money above and beyond that was advertising and marketing expenses that are needed for that, website, that sort of thing on there. So it was a little bit less than $100,000 to get started all in. Built it up to a good 6-figure income, which you can do with most franchises out there on that one. Once you move up from there, some of the franchises may require a small office. Generally speaking, like the senior care, for instance, you're going to get busy quick enough on that where you're going to have employees coming to see you on a regular basis, and you're going to have a small office in there. So around $150,000 for something like that. With the electrical and plumbing and some of the home service franchises, there may be some equipment you need, so you may need something a little larger or some space to put some of the equipment in. So $150,000, give or take, depending on the equipment that you need. You're really getting into the higher investments when you get into those brick and mortars, because now you're leasing out a spot on there. Generally, you're not buying any real estate. Most of the franchises don't have you buy real estate; they have you lease it. They'll have a leasing expert and they'll have a real estate expert to help you find that perfect location for you. But you're looking at around, usually speaking, $300,000, and just on up from then, just depending on what type of franchise you get into.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to know. And do you recommend any grants if someone doesn't have that much of investment available? Grants or loan, or means, do you help in those
I do have
areas
a
too?
gentleman that I talked to not too long ago that finds grants for people. I don't get a whole lot of people looking for grants, but I do have somebody I can introduce you to if you're looking for grants. That's easy enough. Most of my people will do either one of two things. They'll either go for like an SBA loan is pretty standard, or a home equity loan. SBA loan for a service industry franchise is generally going to be an express loan. You put about $20,000 down on that, then the SBA. And I have loaned people that do loans for franchising all the time. So it's very simple to do. As long as your credit's decent, they can get you into that. So 150,000 express loan for a service industry franchise, you come up with 20,000. The SBA just drops in another 150. If you go for the brick and mortar type franchises, then you're probably looking at something like a 7A loan, and that will be about 20% down on something like that. So that's using other people's money on there, which most of my investors love using other people's money as long as the investment services the debt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I attended many real estate seminars and all, and they always say, hey, the money is good when you are using other people's money. It's always
Yeah.
good. So,
Best way
yeah,
to grow.
yeah.
Best
The
way to grow.
great business
You can also
strategy.
use your own
Yeah.
money.
Oh,
401k
yeah.
plan from a previous employer. You can put it into a self-directed 401k plan or an IRA from that. And a self-directed one, in that case, you would create a C corporation. And a self-directed fund means you can buy stock in any C corporation you want to. You buy stock in your C corporation on that. I did that to start my business. That's what I used my 401k plan from a previous employer to do that because I wanted to invest in myself. I believed in myself. On that, it's definitely a personal opinion because you're using your retirement money for that. But that's what I did. We have people that do that as well. It costs about $5,000 and they do all the paperwork. Very simple to do on that. A lot of good benefits to that. When you go to sell your business, you just buy back the stock. So you're not paying any taxes on the sale of the business itself because all you're doing is buying back stock when you do that sort of thing. And there's other benefits as well as part of being part of the 401k plan, putting your money back into it. But again, personal decision. You don't go into debt on that, but it is your retirement funds.
So, in your journey, what have you seen? Most people they buy the ready-made franchise which is available, which someone is willing to sell, or they start from scratch.
Most people start from scratch. They buy. I don't do a whole lot of franchise resales on that because you're being you get into a franchise. You're going to sign an agreement for 5 to 10 years. Doesn't mean you have to stay 5 to 10 years on that. You can get out anytime you want. You just sell it is what you do. You tell the franchisor you're going to sell it. Franchisor will the first thing they'll do is tell other franchisees closest to you that you're selling. As long as you're making money, you generally get bought up right away by another franchisee on there. So I don't get a whole lot of good resales on that one, but the majority of people that come to me start from scratch. So the franchise has grown. They may have, 5 or 10 units. They may have 100, 500 units. They just haven't got one in your area yet. So you start it from scratch on there, either as a single unit, depending on what your goals are. And we work on developing your goals to see where you want to be to determine which type of franchise to get into. So single unit franchise is one type. You can also do an area developer, which means you pick out more than one territory. So you may pick out 3 in your area. If you decide that you want the opportunity to make more of an income, then you'll develop 3 territories on that or more, depending on what they have available in your area. And then the other one is that some franchises do is what's called a master franchise, where you, again, similar to the area developer. So you may pick out 5 territories. You'll build out a pilot unit in one. That'll be your training unit. And you're like the right-hand person of that franchise. You will then sell your other territories to somebody else. Generally speaking, you get half the franchise fee and half the royalties for those. You train them at your pilot unit. Somebody else uses their money. Great way to build up an annuity system. And rather than the franchisor doing the training, you do the training in your pilot unit and you sell those other units on there. So those are the 3: the single unit, area developer, and master franchise.
So, what are the trade-offs between time and monetary investments and full-time, semi-absentee, absentee? So, can you just explain more of the
Absolutely. So
trade-offs?
what we're looking at there is when you're looking down the road 5 to 10 years from now, do you want to keep your day job and build something up on the side? So that'd be semi-absentee. Semi-absentee generally means 10 to 15 hours a week managing the manager and managing the profit and loss statements. Each franchise is going to be a little bit different. So you really got to know what exactly does that semi-absentee mean for that particular franchise. So you want to talk to the franchise owners again, current franchise owners, especially the ones who started out semi-absentee, and find out what does that really mean so that you're okay with fitting that into your schedule. So you won't be making quite as much money right away because now you're paying a manager to do the work for you, but now you have more time to yourself on that, as opposed to if you just want
Okay.
to walk away from your corporate job and start this full time, then you're not paying that manager. you're putting in all the effort, all the time for it on there. So you'll be using up more of your time, but you'll be using up less of your money because now you're not paying the manager to do all that work. There are different franchises require different things. Some require you to do it full time to begin with. You can go semi-absentee later. Pretty much any franchise you can go semi-absentee later as long as it's running fine. But there are other franchises where they have the semi-absentee model. And again, you just need to find out, and that's what we do together to work on that, is to find out from those franchisees what exactly does that semi-absentee entail for you, and are you okay with that time trade-off with paying the manager to do the work for you?
So how will I know whether the franchise is for me or not?
Great question.
How will I
Great question.
decide?
That's what we do, and we go through the process. So I'm all about education. I think there's probably a franchise out there for everybody, but not everybody is for franchising. So to begin with, there are a few certain things that you got to have. One, you have to have a little bit of risk tolerance on that because it is a business, it is a risk. There's no guarantee that it's going to be absolutely 100% successful on that. You get into a franchise, your chances of success are that much greater, but there's still some risk involved in that. You've got to be able to follow a system and process because that's what the franchising is all about, is those systems and processes on there. You got to be mentored. They're going to have a mentor for you. They're going to help you along the way, help you grow. So you got to be able to be mentored, and you still do have to be a self-starter. When I was in my franchise, Dennis Schooley, the guy who ran it, he didn't call me up in the morning and said, "Hey, Greg, time to get up. Let's go get him." On that. So you've got to be a self-starter. Got to have some risk tolerance, be able to be mentored, and be able to follow a system and process on that. If you've got those characteristics, good start, and then we'll go through the franchise process together, and you'll start learning. And yeah, along the way, some of my people have learned that, this is just not for me at this point in time. Some have come back up to 3 years later and said, now's the time, let's go get them. But you will learn enough, and I'll educate you enough. I'm all about just good, honest help, no sales. Let's take a look at each one, and I'll come up with 5 or 10 different opportunities for you. I'll introduce you to the franchises. We'll go through the process together, investigating them, and you'll figure it out pretty quick along the way whether or not franchising is right for you, and if it is, which one is right.
Yeah, so basically, the characteristics, traits which are needed for franchise, they are not much different for any other business because uh, any other business means it will ask for risk tolerance and it will ask for all other things. You have to be self-starter. These are actually the success principles which can be applied for any business. And if you have that, yeah, sure, it is for you, right?
Exactly right. It's going to be the same for every
So
business. You're right there, 100%. No matter if it's a franchise business or just your own, it's still a lot of the same things. You got to be a self-starter. You got to have risk tolerance.
So now I have a question. Means, for example, if I have a regular business which I want to turn into franchise, or if I have a franchise but which I want to turn into mom and pop business, is it possible? If it is possible, and how it is
If you
possible?
have your own private owned business and want to turn it into a franchise, that is entirely possible on that. The cost is generally around $50,000, give or take. What you want to look for to make it more appealing to as many people as possible is you want to make certain that what people look for is, one, that you're netting out $100,000 or more, because people are really looking for a good six-figure income on their business. So you want to make certain that it's netting 100,000 or more after royalties are taken out. And we haven't discussed royalties, but royalties are ongoing fees you pay to franchisors off the top gross sales, generally between 5 and 10% on a regular basis. Keeps that franchise in business for a while, and that's their vested interest in making certain that you are successful. More you make, more they make. So as your business, you want to make certain that it's probably, these are not set in stone, but these are good starting points, that it's making 100,000 or more. If you've repeated it, which means you've built up other locations, a huge plus on that. 1, 2, same city is good. Other cities, even better. Make sure you repeated it. And then whatever product or service that you'll offer is usable by as many people as possible in as many different cities and states as possible. So those 3 things are going to make it more appealing to people. 100,000 or more net, you've repeated it, and as many people as possible can use it in as many cities and states. Again, not set in stone on that, But that will be a big help in helping you grow your system. If you have a franchise and you want to turn it into a mom and pop, that's, probably not. The franchise is going to have certain things so that you don't take their information and use it for yourself. So they'll probably have something in the franchise agreement saying that if you leave, you can't do that business for a certain set of time afterwards on that. It's going to vary by franchise. You'll see that in your franchise agreement, and I'll have a franchise attorney that I'll actually have 3 of them that I'll send over to you. Check it out. But if that's one of your questions at some point in time that you may want to get out of that franchise and become a mom and pop, you'll need to go over that with a franchise attorney and see in the franchise agreement what it says about your rights to do that at some point in time.
So, if someone wants to find you, where can they look for
You can
you?
go to my website, franchisemaven.com. That's franchise, M-A-V as in Victor, E-N.com. Email me at greg@franchisemaven.com, or just pick up the phone and give me a call at 361-772-6401.
I asked almost all the questions, whatever I wanted to ask, and I'm looking at your website. It's very, very informative because here it says about your right franchise, and it has so many. Oh my goodness, it is. You can preview and you can find out, and you can, yeah, you can analyze everything. Then funding options, you have funding options, you have everything about franchising, and then master area developer franchise. Oh, and you have really informative blogs. It's full proof, lots of information. So I think if someone can go on this website, yeah, there most of the questions will be answered, basic questions will be answered. They can go and study all these options available on the website, and of course after that, yeah, they can contact you. And I see the testimonials, this is a really great section. Yeah, so means keep up the great work. I really appreciate what work you are doing. If you want to give any parting message, or yeah, if you want to add something, yeah, please feel free to add, because I got lots of information, and I'm going to study more on your website. But if you want to
Yeah.
add anything more, please
One
feel
last
free
thing
to.
on my website also is a link to my Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Real Freedom: Why Franchises Are Worth Considering and How They Can Be Used to Build Wealth. On there's a link in there to a PDF version of that book. That's a step-by-step process of what I'll take you through with real-world examples of people that I worked with. Step by step, what to go through to look for a franchise. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, pick up the book, go through the book, follow those steps. You can do it. If you need my help along the way or want to engage me, feel free to reach out at any time.
Oh, that's really good. Sorry, I forgot to ask you, because I have written some books, but I haven't published yet. So, how was your book writing
Oh, the book
journey?
journey,
Can you give me some tips?
it was great.
Because
Yeah, it was. You should get that book done and get it written. Nobody's heard it from your point of view. So for your audience members out there, if you're in a particular industry and you're thinking about writing a book, and you see that there are other books that people have written in your industry, keep in mind, nobody's written it from your point of view at this point in time. It's a good way, and what I consider my book, it's a good way for people to get to know me. So they'll look at that and they'll say, I resonate with that guy. That, I can really relate to that. Or they'll say, this guy is nuts on that, and they won't contact me. So that's fine. It weeds out the people.
either way, it is good, right? Either way, it is good.
Weeds out
Yeah.
the people that think I'm nuts ahead of time. So that's good. And only people that resonate with me.
Saves time for both the
Yeah.
parties, right? It's good. It's good in either way. So, but how about the editing and beta readers and all? Means, how did you find all those
Oh, I went to
contacts?
Rob Kosberg at Bestseller Publishing. He did all that. He was really good. He
Okay.
had a whole team of people that really walked me through. The hardest part was going through that outline to begin with. That took the most time because I had my outline and I sent it over to his team, and they're like, nope, not quite good enough. Put in some more. And I sent it back. Nope, not quite there yet. Come back. So it was a lot of back and forth with his team, which was really good because it really got me thinking about what I needed to say and how I needed to break it down in there on that. And while English is my first language, it's was not my best subject in school. So they were very good at making certain that, I put everything down there, but they made certain my sentences actually made sense, and which is good.
So you made the best choice. You went into the best team and they help you in every possible way, because there are so many people there. I mean, I'm talking to a few people and they say, oh, you should self-publish. Someone is telling me you should go to India and publish. Someone is telling me you should do hybrid publish. And it is so confusing. I really have no idea how to
Yeah, check
proceed.
out Rob Kosberg over at Bestseller Publishing. Everybody's going to charge different fees for it, so it just depends on what you want to pay and what kind of services that you want on there. There's many different people that can do it. He was really good with getting that, and he helped me get it to the Wall Street Journal best-selling list as well on that. So a good team of people, very very nice, very friendly, and I got to go down and meet him down there in Florida on there. He had a nice event. Introduced me to Kevin Harrington. Had him at one of his events, which is
Oh, yeah, Shark
yep.
Tank, huh?
So that was very nice of him as well.
Yeah.
So you get to meet a lot of nice people. He's got a lot of good connections in there. So that helps. So look for that when you're looking at somebody who's going to help you publish a book. What other kind of connections do they have besides just publishing your book that will maybe help you out in the future?
Oh, that's really good. That's really interesting. So I want to tell you, people, yeah, as a consumer, you may like In and Out burger, but when you are thinking about business, yeah, may think about a franchise. Think about franchise, because In and Out burger is not a franchise, and they are not going to give you a chance to start business like them. But there are many other, yeah, many other places, service industry, or many places where they are providing you that opportunity to follow your dream. You can live your ideal life, and that's possible through franchising. Greg answered most of the question. I mean, basically whatever questions I had. You might be having more questions. His website is full of information. You can go and find out more information about that. You can surely contact him. You download his book and you can read it. But hey, you have one life to live. Why not to live to the fullest? And most of the people, they go to cemetery with their dream in their heart, and I don't want you to live your life that way. You have one life to live. It's really short, it passes really fast. Why not to find a proven system? Why not to find a great advisor like Greg and work with him, and yeah, live the life you want to live always. Thank you, Greg. Thanks a lot for coming and really blessing our audience. We really appreciate your work. I always knew about franchising, but never knew into details how can we get started into a franchise, and you explained it really well.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. It was an honor to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.